Thank you, Greg, and thank you for being such a great lead-in for John, because the name of John's company is Serendipity Labs. He has been evangelizing the future of work and commercializing workplace solutions for over 20 years. We're going to hear more from him today about co-working facilities. He has been involved in Worktopia, and he was the president and GM of the Americas for Regis before going on to found Serendipity Labs. So please join us, John.
Well, thanks for having me here. And after evangelizing the future of work for 20 years, I'm really pleased that it's here. We've heard a lot already about the future of work and where people are going to work and how they're going to work and how they're going to interact. And is it going to be online? Is it going to be technology? And some of us have taken on the task in this room of actually delivering commercial solutions around work. A lot of people here have done that, and so it's a bit of a challenge to talk to a group like this. I do want to tell you that I do have some actual traditional work experience before being a tech CEO and a co-working operator. Aside from Regis, I started in a traditional way, like a lot of you maybe, in Turner Construction, building office buildings, Citicorp Real Estate, financing office buildings, working as a real estate executive and executing over $1 billion and negotiating and executing over $1 billion in leases. So I guess I have a little bit of a background on how to, or maybe a way to project out to the future, not just really thinking about where the vision is, but actually having to apply it. There's a lot of discipline in that. So what I want to do is talk to you today about how the consumerized workplace, driven by the actual end user, if we want to call them the worker, the knowledge worker, is transforming into a hospitality business. And so whether you have an internal client, your client who's your customer who's trying to figure out how to work next, or just an individual, all of these people are really struggling for how to react to the chooser, the choices that are being made. So I wanted to bring it a little bit back down to earth. With Greg, I always get so excited. I just want to go off and invent something, and of course with Microsoft, there's always something to touch and see. What I want to do is talk about something a little bit closer to us, and maybe even just a little bit closer, which is how to frame the idea of hospitality and travel around this. And so the first thing we need to do, though, and I think it's really all of us, is to maybe take a deep breath, forget about utilization, forget about occupancy, cost per square foot, number of workstations, just design. Just pretend like you just don't know anything about it, because this will help me actually, because I'm trying to be an expert here, but actually it will help you as well, because I think what I want to do is take you to a new place. And where I want to take you to is this idea of thinking about none of those things, but thinking about people. I know this is very radical. We probably, but having customers that actually in our workplaces, either at Regis or Stratus or Serendipity Labs and all these places, Worktopia, trying to book them in places, you find that people actually decide for themselves, no matter what rule you give them. I like the trampoline metaphor or example earlier. Is you tell them what they can't do, and all of a sudden they need to do it. So what we want to do is focus on the people, and the bottom line, see metaphor there, is people do have needs, and I want to take us a little bit old school and take you to something that was in Psych 101 for most of you. Everyone had that. Anyone recognize this? This is anyone? Maslow's, anyone? Hierarchy of needs? Well, it hasn't gone away. I mean, we have lots of fancy behavioral studies and things to talk about, and it all gets very exciting, but, being kind of like, well, an older American, I like to think about things this way. So, physiological needs. That's really the basic for survival. This is, it's some of the stuff like eating, having all the shelter and food, and that's kind of motivates us, right? That's someone was telling me this morning, coffee. And that's a really big. That's almost a basic survival need for some of us. And then you get to connection and the emotional needs. We all want to be loved, cared for, part of a family, part of a group. This hasn't changed. I can think we can still go back to this. But then it gets very interesting, because once we as human beings have this need fulfilled, that's a very physiological based need or an emotional need, we start to think, what what can I be? What is it that is my potential? And that's the thing that gets people excited, is self-actualizing. So we wanted to apply that and try and understand those needs in developing Serendipity Labs. We've tried to look at this in other ways. And there's a lot of secondary research. There are a lot of long-term research papers, but we decided to have some commission of our own. And what we did was we created, well, we didn't create, we had a third party do a study of, well, what are the needs of workers? And so what we did was we commissioned them to create three groups of online participants in a community. And the first group is people who had an ability to choose where they wanted to work. Now, that's not everybody, it's more and more people. Some people still are told where to go, when to go, and how to go. That was our second group, and they were kind of fun because we actually had to give them permission to do stuff in a group. So, and then the third group is, I think, a really interesting one to put in. It wasn't my idea, which it had been, but it's recruiters. So this is about people who know who the talent is, know what the company wants, and are always negotiating what is the work style that is going to attract this person. And so getting these people together and having them spend some time, 2 months really, getting to know each other, sharing ideas, pitching questions at them. Again, the researchers doing this, coming up with questions like, show me how you work. Post a picture of it. Show me how you like to work. Tell me about your life. Tell me what's more important to you. This or that. Tell me what your needs are, basically is what we were doing, just to have the primary baseline. And actually people told us, and they told each other, and they got to know each other. I don't think there are any marriages out of this thing or anything, because that's not what we were up to. But, there's some cute people, I don't know. So it depends on what you like. But, so we determined that, well, there we go. We got to point at the right place. Maybe back here. Nope, how about there? Yeah. So we determined that workers are people too. So I know you're really quiet because you weren't sure about that. But they also have higher level needs. So we were surprised to learn that they were going to tell us not just where they want to work and how they want to work and what they want to look like, but really about themselves. And so we started to develop our own model. For business people, this is hard stuff. So let me, give me a break on this. But they came up with really big names. So homeostasis was the first level, and that's basically keeping a stable environment. That's really what they wanted. And that included physical comfort in their work environment, wherever that might happen to be, physical and sensory comfort. So this is, how you sit, how the light is, how much natural light there is, the air conditioning and all temperature control, and how does it feel? Safety and security, that's personal safety, personal security. We heard from women and men about wanting to feel safe in the workplace and safe after work and on the way to work. And of course, food, water, and shelter, which, we won't pick on anybody's cafeteria service, so we'll just leave that one alone. So in a lot of ways, this is where workplace design leaves off. And, if we give people this, we feel like they should come and be productive and be thankful. But they said, no, we want something that we later termed integration, which was they wanted these things. They wanted wellness and balance. They wanted to be trusted, and they wanted to be able to trust. They wanted acceptance and connection. These are big ideas. One that we thought was really interesting was they wanted range, which is a word we came up with, but basically the idea that they wanted to be able to traverse different ways of working, not just home or office in that analog model, but within the office, where do I work and when do I work? And do I have permission to use the space, and does the space tell me, hey, I can go sit there. I know to whisper, or I know to talk out loud. And mobility takes a lot of dimensions as well, as you can imagine. But choice is the one that came through over and over and over. So if you do that, then you've got pretty much the leading edge workspaces in the world, right? So because you've got everything they asked for. But unfortunately, they kept telling us more stuff they wanted, which is a little bit disconcerting, but they wanted to be inspired. Now that's tough, come on. How much are you going to pay for this? So, it's a business. We can only do so much. But they told us what it was, and we said, okay, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, we want to realize our potential. We want to be valued. We want to be people who can interact and find our creative potential. And that's actually gold if you're a company, right? If you get your people, I mean, these are not MIT researchers. These are not specialty professors in a campus somewhere trying to invent something. These are garden variety people like us, maybe even not as good as us, no, never, but definitely people who aspire, like, because it's a basic human need, to some kind of their own personal greatness. And so it made me think about how marketers do this, and marketers always want to inspire us to something because we want to get that emotional level. And I'm going to apologize in advance to Coke and Pepsi, but and because I'm a person of a certain age, I remember Coke reminding me when I was a kid that I could I could teach the world to sing in perfect harmony by drinking Coke. And I was like, I'd like to teach the world to sing. I can still do it. I mean, but that was a very high order value proposition for drinking, caramel colored water. So I was like, wow, give me more of that. And I was just a kid. But the one that really, I think the one that was really striking, and this is a slogan that ran for 20 years, and is one that actually recruited people to get in harm's way. It caused them to choose to be in harm's way. And this was the be all you can be, join the army. And so if you can do that, so basically it's an illustration of the idea that we as human beings want to be inspired. So wow, tall order. But we've got to create the inspirational workplace. And so, this is the workplace of the future. I hope everyone's in shape because, Cirque du Soleil can do it. They've got a very inspirational workplace. But what they said is, this is what I mean by that, is they want a creative self-expression, innovation, they want to realize their potential, promote their personal brand. Some of the things, to promote your personal brand is to be a resource to Sonar and to these other things, because then they know who you are. Do you know that if you're traversing the LinkedIn and Twitter and promoting your professional brand, it's because you really are a free agent already. Nobody in this room can escape the idea that they're a free agent. If you don't think you're a free agent, come talk to me later, I'll explain why. But it is really true. They want to be able to promote this idea of themselves to the world. And we can do that now. How is the workplace going to help that? It's by letting us choose where, when, and with whom we work. An important piece of information for people who are very focused on corporate workplaces is that the idea that the person that you need to speak with is at the office, and if you're not at the office, you're missing out, I think is, well, I learned not to swear after being in construction for a long time, so I'm not going to start now, but it's just not, I think it's just not true. Because the best people you work with are the ones that you find and you connect with in teams and projects, and they're all over the world and they're all over the place, and you find the subject matter expert and you work with them. And because they're the gold for that particular project, and they're the agents that you need for that particular thing. And so, yes, there are times when you want to catch up on Downton Abbey, and it's good to get to the office, and I agree with that. I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. And sometimes, yes, you do find things happening at the water cooler that are repeatable. But what we've delivered is the broken workplace. These are photos that some of our participants in this study gave us, and it said, I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're a designer, you might need to avert your eyes, but there's some crazy things going on here. And this is 8 months ago. This is not 1978. Although I think I see a really old chair there. And then people who were working at, some of them had home offices. They were very proud of, look, they even vacuumed and everything. And, and look at this chair. Where's the pointer? That chair. Oh my gosh. Chiropractor would love that thing. The lighting, ergonomics, natural light. This guy, he's like, wow, I'm going to remind myself every day that I went to college. It's awesome. But the places, they're obsolete, and we keep sending them. Now, all the spaces you design and you set up and all the things we're going to see today, they're amazing. But people don't work that way. We need another place for them, and there's an opportunity to do that. The centralized office, for most people, it lacks range, choice, balance, autonomy. You can't do what you're supposed to do, and the people you're supposed to do it with aren't there. The home office lacks safety and wellness, all these things. And the legacy investments we're making and we've made are holding us back. These tall buildings that are empty, the infrastructures that can't talk to each other and we can't change it, can't talk to new systems. We're stuck. You need to start over. You need to start from scratch. Because workers have choice. Workers are deciding. You're not deciding. The project leader and the CEO of the company that is your client, they're not deciding, they're reacting. Because if they're deciding, they're going to get it wrong. They need to listen. And that's because they need to be, it's becoming a workplace hospitality business. And brands are being launched left and right. So there's one, it's one of my favorites. I think you can probably guess where that is. But lots of different kinds of ways to work. Stop advertising now. And on to the next one. That's a Serendipity Labs, by the way, if you didn't get that reference. This is a club that's opening in the city